It's not quite 2. I've been told the prompt 2 o'clock start. So the clock is ticking down like countdown. Is the live stream up and running?
Yep.
Okay, we will just wait another minute just in case anybody arrives late. Yeah. One practicality I was going to mention later was phones on silent or off, please. So if you can just check that your phone is on silent or off, please. And the hearing loop is on, yeah. I don't know anything about it, so yeah. We okay to start, Sangha? Yeah. Okay. So for those who don't know me, my name is Vishanka, and I'm a member of the Triratna Buddhist Order. And a very warm welcome to you all who've come here to witness Julie joining the Triratna Buddhist Order today in a ritual ceremony, her public ordination. And I'll say a few words about that in a few minutes. So yeah, warm welcome to everybody in the room. And a very warm welcome to everybody who's joining us on the live stream on YouTube. I don't know where to look over there. Hello? They can't talk back. So hello. And a particularly warm welcome to Julie's friends and family who are gathered here in this part of the room. So I was given a list by Julie of the people here, so this may be accurate or not. So warm welcome to Diane, who is Julie's sister, who's flown in all the way from sunny Mallorca. I presume it's sunny. And to Terry, Julie's brother, who's flown in all the way from sunny Wolverhampton. I've got 2 +1s, so I don't know who the +1s are, but I've got Veronica, Margaret, Carol, Andrea, Sue, Alan and Tess. Is that right? Yeah. So a very warm welcome, particularly if it's your first time here at Manchester Buddhist Centre. And I know that some of Julie's friends and family are joining us online. I think we've got Sebastian, who's Julie's nephew, Alice, Julie's niece, Sandy, Ursula, Erica and Radula. And Erica is in the States, so it's an international affair, this, Mallorca and the States. So yeah, a very warm welcome. I hope you enjoy today. And a particularly warm welcome to members of the Triratna Buddhist Order who have gathered here to witness Julie joining our order. So our order is one bigger after today. And she'll be joining her network of friends and that network of friendship that we are as the Triratna Buddhist Order. And we're all going to witness Julie's public ordination. And it's very rare to have a public ordination here in this building. I've been involved in this centre for 21 years and I can just remember a handful of public ordinations here in that time. So public ordinations usually take place at our retreat centres, either in Spain or if we're in the UK, some of the retreat centres in the UK. So it's a very special occasion for us. We're very privileged to be able to witness this here in Manchester. And what we're witnessing is Julie making her commitment to what she holds most dear in her life. The 3 jewels of Buddhism. The Buddha, who's the example of how to live a skillful and wise life. The Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha that Julie will has been putting into practice for the past few years and will continue to deepen her practice over the rest of her life. And the Sangha jewel. So the Sangha, the sort of the example of those who have come before and have shown the way, but also her friends here in the Triratna Buddhist Order, this particular Sangha she's joining. And that commitment has two aspects. So she's recently been on a very short retreat with some of her order friends, and she received a private ordination on that retreat. So that's really Julie saying, I will do this on my own if I need to. I will go it alone if I need to. If I'm the last Buddhist on earth, I will continue to practice. But thankfully, she doesn't have to do it on her own. She can do it with a network of friends. And that's what this ceremony is all about. It's the public aspect of her ordination. So ritually today, she will be joining the Triratna Buddhist Order. She'll be given a kesa to signify that. And we'll also hear her new Buddhist name, which is a precept for her to practice for the rest of her life. So that's what we're going to witness together here today. So some practicalities before we sort of start the ceremony proper. So I've already told you if you've got mobile phones, please make sure they're on silent or off. If the hearing loop is on, we're not going to amplify the ceremony today because there'll be mic stands that would just get in the way of the ritual. So the hearing loop is on if you've got a hearing aid, but I hope you can hear okay. Please don't take photos during the ceremony. Stirajoti is our press photographer. He's here with his camera, and he'll be taking some photos of the ceremony itself. And then also after the ceremony, when we're all gathered downstairs, there'll be some group photos, and I'll be the wedding photographer's assistant. I'll be gathering the bride and groom into various groupings, and we'll do that downstairs. So yeah, just to say at the end of the ceremony, it'll be obvious when it's the end of the ceremony, we'll leave Julie to just sit in silence just for a few moments and absorb what has happened. So if we can all leave quietly, silently, and just leave Julie to it, and we'll gather downstairs. Then after a few minutes, Julie will come down and join us. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say. It's very exciting, isn't it? So I'd just invite you all to stand now, please. If you're Buddhists, stand. And we'll just wait for Dayanandi, who's the public preceptor today, and Julie and Surika, a private preceptor, who will come in, and then Dayanandi will salute the shrine. She'll salute the three jewels, what Julie holds and we hold most dear to our hearts. So if we just wait in silence for Dayanandi to appear.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Dhammaya.
Namo Dhammaya.
Namo Sanghaya.
Namo Sanghaya.
Namo Namah.
Namo Namah.
Om.
Om.
you got yours? Technology. Wow. So lovely to see everybody. Welcome. I know Vishanka's already welcomed everybody, but yes, it feels it was a very, very special occasion, and it's so lovely that so many of us have come, especially Julie's friends and family, who I imagine must be a beautiful bunch over here. So yeah, lovely that you've come, and it's a very special day, of course, for Julie, so it's really great that we've all come to celebrate and be alongside her in this very important ritual, which marks, you know, a big turning point in Julie's life. So welcome. And welcome to everybody on Zoom. I think we're being filmed from over there, so yeah, it's really lovely to have people with us from, I don't know quite how far afield that is. So I'm going to give just a brief introduction to the ceremony and to what we're doing today and its significance, and then we'll have a very short puja. Bhante used to say it was to warm up the spiritual atmosphere, but I sort of feel it's already quite warm. And then we'll have the ordination ceremony itself, during which people tend to be here, especially because they want to find out Julie's new name. So that will happen during that ordination ceremony. Surika over here, who's sitting on Julie's right in the robe as well, is Julie's private preceptor, the person who witnessed her going for refuge to the Three Jewels, her first part of the ordination, which happened about exactly 8 days ago, in a very beautiful place, Brinscall Hall, and quite a few of us who are present here were on that very small and lovely retreat in the countryside there, and Surika witnessed Julie's going for refuge in a private ordination, which is the first part of the ordination ceremony, and the public ordination today is the sort of second and culminating part. So in the private ordination, really, Surika, what's happening there is a very sort of personal witnessing of Julie's, very deep, wholehearted wish to put the Three Jewels, the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, at the centre of her life, to be part of the Triratna Buddhist Order. The fact that it's a very private and personal ceremony, I think it's an opportunity for the person to really sort of feel the step they're taking, and also, in a sense, it can sort of symbolise that they would take that step on their own, even if nobody else were going to do it, because it's so fundamentally important to them. However, today's ceremony marks something quite different, which is the fact that they're joining an order. They're joining a whole group of order members who have taken the same step that they're taking today. And so there's a very joyful celebration and sort of welcoming to the order that happens on the public ordination ceremony. And when the person gets this is a case which is a symbol of our ordination, and at the moment that Julie receives her case, so that's when she becomes a full member of the Triratna Buddhist Order. And that means when she becomes a full member of the order, she has an equal ordination to any of the, I think it's 2,551 order members so far, according to Jaya Devi. So you'll be the 2,552nd, possibly. She said it wasn't totally sure if it was right, but anyway, it's as close as we've got to that. And so it's quite a big order, a worldwide order, in most of the continents, as far as I know, and very many different countries, and it practiced in many different languages as well. That's some of the significance of what is going to happen today. Let's see what else I was going to say. Today is a sort of culmination. It's a culmination of a lot of a lifelong commitment to the Buddhist path. It's a culmination of some what Julie's been working on. She's been working hard on her spiritual practice for 2 decades, I think. That's when she began to realise that she might have that in her to be be a spiritual practitioner, and before that she thought definitely not. And then something arose in her, and here she is committing herself very wholeheartedly and sincerely. It's for her, it's her personal journey, and so it's a culmination of a lot of work of preparation when you get to the point of joining the order. But it's also, you could say, the beginning of something new as well. It's the beginning of a spiritual rebirth we often talk about. And the new name that the person's given very often has a seed of something in it, a quality or several qualities that the private preceptor chooses the name and it gives the person the name at the private ordination. And then, so actually just the two of them, Surika and Julie, are the only people who've known what that new name is. And for about 8 days, they've just been sitting with that in a sort of very sort of mysterious, precious space. But that's and then in a way, Surika would have chosen that name, bearing in mind Julie's qualities and things that she'd like to celebrate or maybe enhance in Julie or whoever she now is. So there's a sort of spiritual rebirth in that path, and when you become ordained also you take on a new meditation practice as well, which is a step towards becoming the you that you hope to become in the future. And also there's a commitment of taking on 10 ethical precepts, or precepts of body, speech and mind, which are very, very sort of essential part of the ordination ceremony. So I think I won't say very much more, but we'll get on with it. We'll move into the next stage. Yes, so what we'll do to start with is we'll celebrate a threefold puja, a short puja, again to sort of, as I say, warm up the spiritual atmosphere. After the second section of the puja, Varochini is going to come up and she's going to give a reading from a text called the Bodhicharya Aryatara. It's a guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, which is very much the spirit behind our ordination. The Bodhisattva being a being mythic or real, who's committed their life to gain enlightenment, not only for their own benefit, but for the benefit of all beings. Being aware that the more that wisdom and compassion they can develop in their lives, the more of benefit they can be outside in the world. So that's in a way the myth of our order. So Varochini is going to come and read a very beautiful reading, which we always read actually at ordination ceremonies. So we'll have that after the second section of the puja. And after the third section, Vishanka is going to lead the Shakyamuni mantra. We won't be making offerings as we often do during the mantras, but we'll be having a chance just to evoke the historical Buddha, without whom we would not be here, of course. Shakyamuni, the Buddha, And then after that, we'll go into the ceremony, and I'll just say bits to introduce it as we go along. So, okay, great. So, if you haven't done a threefold puja before, or may not consider yourselves Buddhist as well, of course, just feel free just to listen or take part as much as you'd like to. And for the rest of us, we'll do this in call and response. So maybe just sitting just for a moment to ground ourselves in our sort of relax a few minutes and just sort of touch into our awareness of ourselves here in the moment. So the threefold puja, opening reverence. We reverence the Buddha.
We reverence the Buddha,
The perfectly enlightened one.
the perfectly enlightened one,
The shower of the way.
the shower of the way.
We reverence the Dharma.
We reverence the Dharma,
The teaching of the Buddha,
the teaching of the Buddha,
which leads from darkness to light.
which leads from darkness to light.
We reverence the Sangha,
We reverence the Sangha,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
the fellowship of the Buddha's disciples,
that inspires and guides.
that inspires and guides.
Secondly, reverence to the three jewels. We reverence the Buddha
We reverence the Buddha
and aspire to follow him.
and aspire to follow him.
The Buddha was born
The Buddha was born
as we are born.
as we are born.
What the Buddha overcame,
What the Buddha overcame,
we too can overcome.
we too can overcome.
What the Buddha attained,
What the Buddha attained,
we too can attain.
we too can attain.
We reverence the Dharma
We reverence the Dharma
and aspire to follow it
and aspire to follow it.
with body, speech and mind
With body, speech and mind
until the end.
until the end.
The truth in all its aspects,
The truth in all its aspects,
the path in all its stages.
the path in all its stages.
We aspire to study,
We aspire to study,
practice,
practice,
realize.
realize.
We reverence the Sangha
We reverence the Sangha
and aspire to follow it.
and aspire to follow it.
The fellowship of those
The fellowship of those
who tread the way
who tread the way,
as one by one
as one by one.
we make our own commitment,
We make our own commitment,
an ever-widening circle.
an ever-widening circle.
The Sangha grows.
The Sangha grows.
Today my birth is fruitful. My human life is justified. Today I am born into the family of the Buddha. Now I am the child of the Buddha. So that there may be no blemish upon this spotless family, I must now act as becomes my family. As a blind man might find a jewel in heaps of rubbish, so too this awakening mind has somehow appeared in me. This is the elixir of life, born to end death in the world. This is the inexhaustible treasure, alleviating poverty in the world. This is the supreme medicine, curing the sickness of the world, a tree of shelter for weary creatures staggering along the road of existence. The causeway to cross over bad rebirths, open to all who travel. This is the rising moon of the mind, mitigating the defilements of the world. This is the brilliant sun, dispelling the mist of ignorance from the world. It is the fresh butter risen from the churning, the milk of the true Dharma. The caravan of humanity travelling the road of existence, hungry for the enjoyment of happiness. This is the feast of happiness offered as refreshment to all beings who approach. Today I summon the world to Buddhahood and to the worldly happiness meanwhile. In the presence of all the saviours, may God's Titans and all rejoice.
Thirdly, offerings to the Buddha. Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer flowers,
we offer flowers,
Flowers that today are fresh
Flowers that today are fresh
and sweetly blooming.
and sweetly blooming.
Flowers that tomorrow
Flowers that tomorrow
are faded and fallen.
are faded and fallen.
Our bodies too like flowers
Our bodies too like flowers
will pass away.
will pass away.
Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer candles
we offer candles
to him who is the light.
to him who is the light.
We offer light
We offer light
from his greater lamp.
from his greater lamp.
A lesser lamp we light within us,
A lesser lamp we light within us.
the lamp of Bodhi shining
The lamp of Bodhi shining
within our hearts.
within our hearts.
Reverencing the Buddha,
Reverencing the Buddha,
we offer incense.
we offer incense.
Incense whose fragrance
Incense whose fragrance
pervades the air.
pervades the air.
The fragrance of the perfect life,
The fragrance of the perfect life,
sweeter than incense,
sweeter than incense,
spreads in all directions
spreads in all directions
throughout the world.
throughout the world.
Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha.
Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha.
So now we've come to the point of the public ordination ceremony itself. It's a very simple ceremony and a very beautiful ceremony, I think. It's derived from traditional ordination ceremonies, and partly it is in the ancient language of Pali, which is perhaps the closest of the languages that we know of that the Buddha may have spoken, or it's perhaps not the exact language, but his actual teachings, many of them are written down in the language of Pali. So part of the ceremony is repeating very ancient Pali phrases, I think, which were used in very early ordination ceremonies. So you could say, in a way, it's a tradition going right back to the Buddha. There's some in English as well. So we'll be doing the ceremony. We haven't asked Julie to learn it all off by heart, which I can't do it off by heart either. So it's going to be in call and response. And there are 9 sections to the ceremony. There's a few sort of quite particular themes in the ceremony. It begins with offerings and a sense of making offering to the Buddha, to the Dharma, to the Sangha. The Buddha being the sort of principle of the potential for enlightenment, or in a sense ongoing spiritual evolution in ourselves that has no end. You could say that the Buddha represents that he found this sense of sort of irreversible positive change from which one doesn't fall back, in which we've let go we've perhaps gone beyond any of those negative tendencies. It's quite hard to imagine that we can actually let go and go beyond things like anger or craving and sort of willful ignorance. But that, in a way, enlightenment does represent that is actually a human potential that we can actually, over time and very gradually, through continual effort and mindfulness and awareness, we can actually get to a point where we've attenuated those tendencies so much that they just drop away completely. And actually the pull towards something really positive and creative is stronger. And I think probably as we practice on the path, we begin to feel that more and more. But there's a particular point called stream entry whereby that becomes a flow, and it becomes we sort of enter into a flow where it's there's a sort of, in a way, the energy moving forward is stronger than the energy pulling us back. So that's what the Buddha jewel and the Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha, represents. And with Julie wanting to join the order, the Sangha is that fellowship of people who've all committed themselves to be on that path and actually to help each other, encourage each other on that path, because it's as you can imagine, it's not an easy thing to set out onto, but it's a very joyful thing when we feel we're making that progress and we're with people who maybe have got further than we have and can encourage us on. So that's a sort of, in a way, some of the inner significance of the ceremony, and we make offerings to express the receptivity to those teachings. So that's the first part of the ceremony, and I'd like she who was Julie, who was not quite Julie, to come forward, and I'll give you the 3 traditional offerings for the shrine. So the first offering is a flower. Usually a very beautiful flower that we offer, representing not only the beauty of the spiritual life, but also the quality of impermanence, a reminder of impermanence, which is the teaching of the Buddha. Then a candle. You could say the lighting of the candle almost sort of represents the receiving the light of enlightenment from the Buddha. There's a quality of the light of wisdom coming into the world. And lastly, we've got a very beautiful, tender little stick of incense, representing the fragrance of the spiritual life, the spiritual community as well. There's a sort of the fragrance of that just drifts out into the world, hopefully with a quality of beauty and sort of mystery, maybe. Thank you. So now the second section of the ordination ceremony is one of purification, and purification is a theme that crops up quite a bit in the ordination ceremony. and in the spiritual life. Actually, the Buddha's teaching, the Dharma, is sometimes called the path of purification, and particularly meditation, but not only meditation, ethical practice are very much it sort of come from that principle. And so actually you'll see there's quite a bit the colour white on the shrine, and that's to evoke this quality of purification and purity. And also the offerings that whoever she is, Julie, made were white, and again that brings out that quality of purity and purification. And I always think it's interesting. Sangha, our founder, our teacher, he was saying about purity, it's not a particularly popular quality in the West these days. It can seem a bit maybe a bit weak or a bit wishy-washy or not very cool to want to be pure, is it really? But he was saying that the colour white includes all of the colours. It's a very strong quality, and I think the words purity and virtue, they come from words that mean strength. So there's a strength and a sort of inclusiveness of all the qualities in the white. So I'm going to say in call and response 3 lines of purification. One of our actions, our physical actions, our speech and our mind. So I'll say a few words and then you'll repeat after me. Okay. Bowing before the Buddha.
Bowing before the Buddha.
I purify my body.
I purify my body.
Chanting the sacred mantras.
Chanting the sacred mantras.
I purify my speech.
I purify my speech.
Silently meditating.
Silently meditating.
I purify my mind.
I purify my mind.
And now we come on to the 3rd section, which actually is a request. So although Julie requested ordination some time ago, and she made it known she would like to enter the path of training towards ordination, she wanted to become an order member, it seemed to be very traditional in the ceremonies that you actually make the request at the time of the ceremony, so I'm absolutely sure that's what you want to do. Nobody's twisting your arm. It's a free choice. At this moment you could turn around and walk out of the room and say, no, I'm not going to do it. But if you'd like to make that request, there's a Pali phrase which we will say in call and response. You'll repeat after me. I'll just do one word at a time, and that will be you making a request for ordination. I'll hold this, I think. Ahang aye.
Ahang aye.
Ti saranena.
Ti saranena.
Saha.
Saha.
Dhammacharini.
Dhammacharini.
Samvara.
Samvara.
Silang.
Silang.
Dhammang.
Dhammang.
Yachami.
Yachami.
Anugaha.
Anunaka.
Katwa.
Katwa.
Silang.
Silang.
Data.
Data.
May I.
May I.
Yay. Which means I wish to take the 3 refuges together with the Dhammacharini ordination vows. Kindly give them to me, Aya. And Aya means, same as Bante, it means Venerable Lady, which is actually myself. I stand in for the Venerable Lady in this case. And then I say, you don't repeat this, Yamaham vadami tam vadeta, which actually does mean repeat whatever I say. And you say, Ama aye,
Ama aye.
which means yes, Aya. So you see the quality of receptivity is already quite strong. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. So now we come to the very heart of the ordination ceremony already, which is the witnessing and the taking of the going for refuge to the 3 jewels and the taking of the 10 precepts as ordination vows. Yes, in a way you could say we could dispense with the rest of the ceremony and we could just have this bit and you'd be ordained. That's all you need to do really is repeat the going for refuge the verses and also the 10 precepts, and then maybe have a blessing or something. That would be it, but we add a few things around it. But this is the heart of the ordination ceremony. And Bhante Sangharajta, he's described very beautifully, I think, going for refuge to the 3 jewels as the beating of the heart of our spiritual practice, and the practice of the 10 ethical precepts as like the blood that flows through the organism of our spiritual lives, sort of keeping it alive and fresh and nourished, bringing life to our spiritual practice. So there's a very close relationship between our sort of holding to these 3 principles, these 3 jewels, and letting that flow out through our lives in ethical practice, awareness of our conduct of body, speech and mind. So, yeah. So what we do now is the first part of that will be the taking of the going for refuge, which begins with a salutation to the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, without whom, as I say, we would not be here. So if you repeat after me, we'll do this in 3 times, the salutation to the Buddha Shakyamuni. Namo tassa.
Namo tassa.
Bhagavato arahato.
Bhagavato arahato.
Samma sambuddhassa.
Samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa.
Namo tassa.
Bhagavato arahato.
Bhagavato arahato.
Samma sambuddhassa.
Samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa.
Namo tassa.
Bhagavato arahato.
Bhagavato arahato.
Samma sambuddhassa.
Samma sambuddhassa.
And now the going for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha 3 times. And a friend of mine was saying she's a Malaysian Buddhist, and that what they say over there apparently is that we do it 3 times because probably at least in one of those times we'll be mindful of what we're saying. But on this occasion we can be mindful of each time, can't we? Buddhaṃ saranang gacchami.
Buddhaṃ saranam gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhaṃ.
Dutiyampi buddhaṃ.
Saranang gacchami.
Saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang.
Dutiyampi dhammam.
Saranang gacchami.
Saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang.
Dutiyampi sangham.
Saranang gacchami.
Saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhaṃ.
Tatiyampi buddhaṃ.
Saranang gacchami.
Saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang.
Tatiyampi dhammam.
Saranang gacchami.
Saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang.
Tatiyampi sangham.
Saranang gacchami.
Saranam gacchami.
Good. At this point, there comes a question, and I say, Ti saranang gavanang sampunyang. Yeah? So, I don't know what your answer is to that. So the question is translated as, are the 3 refuges complete? Are you going for refuge sincerely and wholeheartedly at this point to the best of your ability in body, speech and mind? And if you are, you say, Ama aye,
Ama aye.
which means yes, I are. Yay. Because of that, because you're going for refuge fully and sincerely at this moment, we are now moving on. I'll witness you taking of the 10 Dharmacharini, 10 precepts as Dharmacharini ordination vows. So they're a vow in the sense that when we take these on, we are vowing to practice them. Really, we're not saying we're going to be perfect, or at least maybe we will be perfect occasionally, but we are vowing to keep on coming back to the practice of these precepts. So if we fall short, we haven't got to berate ourselves, just come back and just be aware that this is what we're doing. And in a sense, it's a vow over time, just to keep that continuity with our higher selves, really, our aspiration. Yeah, it's an expression, as I say, of our going for refuge in our actions. So first of all, in call and response, we will. Yeah, there are 10 precepts. So as we enter the order, we take on an extra 5 precepts to the ones which we generally take as mitras and friends here. So there are three extra precepts which are to do with speech, because the 4 of the precepts are to do with speech, and that's really, probably we all know what a force for good or evil speech can be, and so we're really trying to be mindful of our speech actually, and try to make it a force for the good, which is incredibly difficult actually, and I think that's why there are 4. There could be more, I guess, couldn't there? But we've got 4, and that's perhaps enough for now. And there's an extra 3 precepts which are to do with mental states, directly trying to work against covetousness, hatred and ignorance. So first of all, the 10 abstentions, which will be the traditional Pali formula. So I'll do one word at a time here. Yeah. Panatipata.
Panatipata.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Adinadana.
Adinadana.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Kamesu.
Kamesu.
Michachara.
Michachara.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Musavada.
Musavada.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Parusavachaya.
Parusavachaya.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Sampapalapa.
Sampapalapa.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Pisunavachaya.
Pisunavachaya.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Abhijaya.
Abhijaya.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Vyapada.
Vyapada.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Michaditya.
Michaditya.
Verimani.
Verimani.
Sikapadang.
Sikapadang.
Samadhyami.
Samadhyami.
Yes, sadhu. And next we're going to say them in English. So these English 10 precepts are what we sometimes call the positive precepts. So they're the sort of spirit in which we are going to be carrying out our practice of the precepts, and the qualities will develop in so doing. So they're a very beautiful set they correlate each one to of the abstentions. With deeds of loving kindness.
With deeds of loving kindness.
I purify my body.
I purify my body.
With open-handed generosity.
With open-handed generosity.
I purify my body.
I purify my body.
With stillness.
With stillness.
Simplicity.
Simplicity.
And contentment.
And contentment.
I purify my body.
I purify my body.
With truthful communication.
With truthful communication.
I purify my speech.
I purify my speech.
With kindly communication.
With kindly communication.
I purify my speech.
I purify my speech.
With helpful communication.
With helpful communication.
I purify my speech.
I purify my speech.
With harmonious communication.
With harmonious communication.
I purify my speech.
I purify my speech.
Abandoning covetousness for tranquility.
Abandoning covetousness for tranquility.
I purify my mind.
I purify my mind.
Changing hatred into compassion.
Changing hatred into compassion.
I purify my mind.
I purify my mind.
Transforming ignorance into wisdom.
Transforming ignorance into wisdom.
I purify my mind.
I purify my mind.
Thank you. And now I chant a venerable Pali, beautiful Pali phrase, sentence. Ti saranena saha dhamma charani sangvara silang dhammang sadukam surakitang katva apamadena sampadeta. Which means, having well observed the 3 refuges and the Dhammacharani ordination vows with mindfulness, strive on. Yeah. So I think many of us will know that those last few words are the final words of the Buddha on his deathbed. He is recorded as saying, apamadena sampadeta, with mindfulness, with non-heedfulness. Strive on, and Sangha has said that in a way that's all we need to do. If we just keep on making an effort, keep on coming back to our practice again and again, setting up the conditions for ourselves to be aware, to be loving, to be kind, to be generous, then enlightenment is assured. So so let's see, there might be a few more things. Oh yes. Well, the next. This is a little skilled job for the public preceptor. The next is a stage of purification. So, at this point, Julie's going to be symbolically purified with actual special water from this initiation vase. So this initiation vase was blessed by Bhante. So it's conducted a few ordinations in its time, and so it's very happy to be conducting this one. So ideally, the idea is to just drop 3 drops of water on the total crown of Julie's head, which symbolises the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, just purifying her whole system and really helping with her spiritual path into the future. It's a bit, sort of quite a mythic. I think I said I would stand up for this, didn't I? Oh, you can stay there. I have to find the crown of the head. It's maybe about there. Okay, close your eyes, everybody, so you don't. There is water in there. Ooh. I think we've got the 6 perfections there. Oh, I don't think I'll sit down. Well, perhaps I will. Yes. Well, what do we have here? So this is the case made in Manchester, I suspect. There's a big case of making industry in Manchester that Maitri Nandi and others are very responsible for. So the caser, as I said, it's a symbol of ordination, and you can see on the caser there's these golden, blue, and red sort of, well, they're meant to be jewel shape, and they symbolise, the golden one symbolises the Buddha jewel, the blue symbolises the Dharma, which is the teachings and the path of Buddhism, and the red jewel symbolises the Sangha, which is the spiritual community, the spiritual family that Julie's going to be joining. And around the jewels, there's a red lotus, which is a red lotus of compassion, you could say, and there are golden, orangey flames of transformation behind the jewels. So that sort of points to the path of transformation that the Dharma is. So anyway, as I say, the moment the caser goes round, see who is Julie's next. She becomes Dhammacharani. Yay. Yay. Something else. Let me just check. oh well, actually, yeah. There's something before the bit you're waiting for. There's a few lines for Julie to say if you feel able. Yeah, this is the 7th section, the verses of acceptance. Yeah, good idea. I'll have some water as well. So there's 4 lines in English which we'll say in call and response, and they mark in a way the spirit in which you're receiving your ordination, and in a sense the spirit in which you'll be living out your order life, because there are 4 sort of principles that really go through our whole life in the order and our practice as order members. So, with loyalty to my teachers.
With loyalty to my teachers.
I accept this ordination.
I accept this ordination.
In harmony with friends and companions.
In harmony with friends and companions.
I accept this ordination.
I accept this ordination.
For the attainment of enlightenment.
For the attainment of enlightenment.
I accept this ordination.
I accept this ordination.
For the benefit of all beings.
For the benefit of all beings.
I accept this ordination.
I accept this ordination.
Sadhu. And now I'm going to ask Surika to come forward and, if you would, sort of let us know who this being has become. I'll give you my...
I loved how strongly you said those those lines of acceptance. Absolutely fantastic. I'm absolutely delighted to tell you that Julie Franklin from Manchester, her new Dharma name is Aryatara. Which means noble saviouress. Arya means noble, and Tara has a number of translations. But in Aryatara's name, the translation is saviouress, or one who helps cross. Aryatara's way of living has a nobility about it. She lives with pain and illness, which is really tough and limiting. And she is very often joyful, fun, and laughs a lot. How come she's so joyful? Her own life has really been transformed, and she has softened. She's let go over and over again into the reality of her physical limitations, and discovered it really is possible to live a rich, meaningful life through following the Buddha's teachings and example. Her physical limitations don't limit her ability to be ethical, kind, and to be aware moment to moment. She steers herself towards a wiser, kinder response to life, herself, and others on a daily basis. And this brings her the greatest joy. This way of being has earned her a really high degree of respect and trust, a nobility. She has an assurity, a deep knowing in herself that she can fully take up her rightful place in the Buddha's noble family. So what about the Tara part of her name, one who helps cross? This points to Aryatara's ultimate heart wish. From her teenage years and throughout her life, the welfare of others has been felt very keenly. She has done much to help others, such as being a voice for those who need to be heard. There will be many here today who know through her acts of kindness and care that she bears others in mind, especially those who are dying or bereaved. She can bring a very steady, compassionate presence that can help us cross over or abide with deep pain and sorrow. However, Aryatara also knows that ultimately, to help herself and others cross from suffering to happiness and freedom comes through really seeing the true nature of things. She has a deep love of the Heart Sutra, a profound wisdom teaching about the empty, ungraspable nature of all things. Aryatara's sphere of concern for others is very wide indeed. It's the whole world. It's so in her blood. It's a force, an energy in her that just has to be expressed. Aryatara will need to keep turning to her direct experience of this human life with love and awareness. Keep exploring her practice of ethics and reflect even more and more on the wisdom teachings of the Buddha. Her connection to the figure of White Tara, whose compassion comes from her deep meditative stillness and eyes of wisdom, will, I'm sure, inspire and guide her. So, Aryatara potentially has all she needs to fulfill her deepest heart's wish, to help others cross from suffering to peace and become a true noble saviouress.
Aryatara has come out as Aryatara in our being. We have one more thing. Oh, yeah. Thank you. One more stage. One more final part of the ceremony, and that is for Aryatara to be blessed. So I'm going to chant the traditional blessings for you, and that with those blessings, hoping that all beneficent, positive forces in the universe, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, are blessing you and your path and your life to come. So, at the end of the blessings, there's an opportunity for us to sort of cheer Aryatara on in the traditional fashion, which is, I don't know if Shankar mentioned that. We, at the end of the ceremony, at the end of many of these sort of ceremonies, we raise a sort of great shout of, it's called sadhu, which means like well done or congratulations in, I guess it's Pali as well. And you'll find that we say that if anyone's got hearing aids, they might want to turn them off at that point. Quite loud. So we'll shower Aryatara with those blessings. And I don't know if we actually throw sometimes, perhaps Shankar might want to share it with the family as well. There's a little something that you can do physically as well if you would like to. Yes. Close your eyes. Aryatara is like a surprise. That she is looking across. Just a moment to sort of share in the blessings. And after the sadhus and after the showerings, if we could all we'll leave Aryatara here just to sit for a few minutes, and we'll go downstairs. And when she comes down, we'll have some group photographs straight away in the lounge area, and then we'll have tea and cake celebration. Bhavatu Sabha Mangalang Rakantu Sabha Devata Sabha Buddhanu Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabha Mangalang Rakantu Sabha Devata Sabha Dhammanu Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabha Mangalang Rakantu Sabha Devata Sabha Sanganu Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te. Sadhu! Sadhu! Sadhu!
You didn't tell me about this part.
It doesn't
I'm
come
glad
up
I'm not sweeping up.
So we'll just salute the shrine and then we'll go, folks. Oops. A bit of technology. Taking some technology away from